Hello, this is Mark Boyer, and I'll start off this video by apologizing for there being such a long span between one video and the last. But I've been filing all kinds of paperwork and keeping very busy. Well, basically, I've been successful at accomplishing nothing. Okay, I went to Victoria this week and filed papers with the bearers, the Sergeant of Arms of the BC Legislature. Also served papers on the Deputy Attorney General's office. And go to my website. It's quite impressive. They are all in stupor. Okay, they're doing exactly as to prophecy. And what can I say? We are approaching a point where Jesus Christ himself is about to save us from evil men, and because they simply care not to be delivered from evil. Okay, and that's as simple as that. Okay, it's this thing coming down to free choice, and they are free to say no, and they are free to say yes. And they are stuck in this stupor that's expressed in the breaking of the seventh seals, where it says, 1/3 of the earth was burned and torched, and still they refused to repent. In other words, change their mind and go a different way and follow the path of enlightenment. And if they truly believe that they have to follow it to their bitter end, then that's what I'm providing. Because every time I go to court, every time I'm doing these actions, it's 2 or 3 witnesses, as to Hebrews 10:28. Okay. Now I'm going to Alberta next, and there I'm going to do some electronic filing. Okay, on Friday, and appear there on Monday, because it sure looks like the Crown, the federal Crown on this. It used to be a guy called Joe Mercier, but he tells me he dropped the file. The next guy, he refuses to talk to me. Okay, and if the Crown doesn't go to court on this, that's a crime. It doesn't negotiate prior to going to court. That's a crime in and of itself by whoever is holding the paperwork. And it seems like that's what happens when they change from one file to the other. There's this no accountability. And bottom line is, they'll either throw the charges out, or delay it, or throw me in jail. I mean, that's all they can do. And if they throw the charges out, and the last Crown prosecutor, a guy called Joe Mercier, he said it was everything to do with, this case had everything to do with the money. Okay, they took like $6,700 of marijuana party money, and contrary to a decision called R.V. Oakes, okay, you know, where the onus is I have to prove where that money came from. Well, you know what? I simply don't have to prove where that money came from, because it clearly came from the proceeds of a political party. And this provincial court simply doesn't have the authority or the jurisdiction to review such a decision. Okay, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. Okay, the federal Crown prosecutor might think he can take this matter up. Sure, but he can't take it up in a provincial court and think that this provincial judge has any jurisdiction to rule on it, other than he's being told to proceed. And everyone's had numerous opportunities to just drop these charges and give me my money back, and they simply refuse to do it. And what can I say? Go read my stuff on the website. Basically I'm going to Calgary, and I'll be there on Monday, where I'm making a proposition that they need to appoint a friend of the courts to act as an intermediary then and there. Okay, And because it's a 2-day trial, and the bottom line is the first day, until this happens, we're at a stalemate, okay? It's called criminal estoppel. They simply don't have a case to stand on. I was busted by a dog that was at the Calgary airport, Calgary bus station, and 2 weeks after I was busted, that very same dog and that very same handler were thrown out in a Supreme Court of Canada ruling, and I don't care what they say, that they have no grounds for the evidence in the first place. The Crown has never served me the certificates of analysis to show that they possess anything called a crime. I simply have never been served these documents. It's an open and shut case of R.V. Oakes, okay? They're challenging the Elections Act, which has to be done, the validity of the Elections Act, which cannot really be heard in a provincial court. Yet the Crown insists that, they can't drop the charges because they simply don't want to give this $6,700 of political party money back. And the federal Crown insists that they can ask where we got that money. Okay? And by law, under the Elections Act, it's impossible. And it really is. Okay? It's a whole series of independent donations which every party deals with as receipts, as blank receipts. With Bill, Jack, Frank, whatever. People don't want to use them as deductions on their taxes. They just give you money. And ours is a perfectly legitimate way. And it's none of their business. Frankly, it's none of this lower court's business to be involved in this case. There are at least 4 to 5 case precedences that say they have to toss this case out. And it's been dragging on for 2 years. It's pathetic. And what can I say? Tune in next week. I'll try to make videos faster, and but I highly recommend go to my website. I've added all kinds of new links, and the read's well worth it. Thank you very much. Now, on a second issue, there's this reality that there's all kinds of compassion clubs all over Canada that were busted in the last 2 weeks, okay? And some very conservative ones and basically, there's this Boris Saint-Maurice bust, which just doesn't make sense. He has a Quebec Supreme Court ruling to protect him. And Health Canada's come out in all these statements saying that they're the only ones who can sell marijuana. All the clubs are illegal, and they're going to push to have every one of them shut down. And the reality is that they are doing this through orders in council to uphold bullshit. Okay? The reality is they're saying that the supremacy of Parliament can override Supreme Court rulings. When you come down to the nitty-gritty of what happened last week and the week before, and what's about to come down and what's doing to me is they're saying that they can have the authority to tell a court that it must ignore Supreme Court rulings. And even Canadian Supreme Court rulings, let alone rulings within their own province. Under de facto law. It's criminal. It's the deeper issue is very unconstitutional. Okay? There's an argument that the police did it so that the courts once and for all react against an insane form of government which has been created from the Meech Lake Accords. And with my case, they have a golden opportunity. And frankly, with Boris's case, they have, with all kinds of these providers that they busted, they have definite need greater than perceived risk. And on this, we live in an ancient Chinese curse of living in interesting times. Thank you very much.